So as you can see, I'm inside of my planner, and this is Microsoft Planner, and there's different plans that I've got in place. You can see up here, ADH Dizzle School, which is my school community, and all the plans I have in regards to it, I put inside of there. And the content plan will be Instagram, TikTok, it'll be YouTube, and anything to do with me pushing content that attracts people to my school community, that'll be in there, right? But what I wanted to say about is the stress list, because that's the list that I've created to allow me to get what's in my head that's stressing me out somewhere where it could stay and not worry about the issues of, that thing and it escalating in my head, right? So the whole reason why you're stressed or whenever you become stressed is because you have a thought that has no, resolution for it. Like there's no, way of seeing a path for the thing that you're stressed about, right? So what you need to do is you need to pull it into the stress list. And what you do is when you put in the stress list, all you're doing is find out what the first actionable step is around that thing. And you can keep going until you get a bit more clarity, but just at least knowing what the first main thing that you should do around that thing that's stressing you out is going to help you calm a little bit down in regards to that stressful thing. And it's just going to make you feel a little bit more, that, you've got it somewhere in a safe place for you to take action on. What I would recommend is that if it's something you could do within 2 minutes, that first action, do it straight away. If it requires a little bit more, effort, more than 2 minutes, and then in that case, of course, you keep it on the list and you block time for it, right? In your calendar. And when you do that, of course, what happens is you've now not got it in your mind anymore because all the things that you're thinking that you have to do around it is the whole reason why you're stressed. It's the perspective of it like that there's too much things to do. But all you need to focus on is one main thing that will push you forward. And that's all you need to know what that is. And then once you know what that is and you block it in and you block time for that, or you do it straight away if it's 2 minutes that it takes to do, it then gives you less to think about and less to worry about around that thing because basically you've taken an action of working out what is that stressing you in the first place, right? So I've created a stress list through just pressing the plus sign on the top, right? And naming it stress list, right? That's what I called it. And then you can have it as private or, you can have it as a public, plan that people can see. And then also you have your description. Maybe you want to describe the plan that you're creating, right? So I've already created one, of course. So I'll go into it here. And at the above here, you can see where it says highly stressful. That's what I created as one of the buckets. But I don't want that to be that bucket. I actually want it to be called whatever the thing I'm stressed about is. So it might have something to do with a trip, right? So in this case, it's a trip. So let's go trip to Barcelona. So no, to Berlin. I'm in Barcelona, Berlin, right? So that's the stress. That is the thing I'm stressed about, right? Now, what's the first thing I can do around it that can calm me from the stress? Well, the reason why I'm stressed is probably because I'm thinking I'm going to leave everything to the last minute. I don't know what time the flights are. I booked them, but I don't know what the time the flights are. I don't know how I'm going to get there to the airport, what time I need to get there, so on and so forth, right? All those things are just a big list of things that I've not bared in mind. And that if I just not careful and I just keep avoiding, what's going to happen is I'm not going to end up doing it, right? And then the day before the flight, I'm going to start packing. I'm going to start worrying about all that stuff then, right? And I don't want to be doing that. So what's the first thing I can actually do right now that could calm me down a little bit in terms of this? Well, just setting a plan, right? Of things that I need to bear in mind, but writing them down. So one of the things is check flight details, right? I can set a deadline for that as well if I want, and then add another one. Another thing I want to do is check what time I need to leave. Check what time you need to leave. What else? Um, also, reservation details. Reservation for hotel details in folder. So I want to create a folder with all the things that I need to know about and in regards to the trip. So I have a bit of organization around what I'm going to do when I'm there and, how we're going to navigate and stuff like that, right? So what's happening when you're stressed is that you're trying to keep all of that stuff in your head. And that's why you're stressed, because you end up thinking about all these different scenarios in your head and there's nothing written down on concrete. Now that I've written some of those things down, there's obviously a lot more things that I write down, right? But by writing it down and just having it in one place where all I need to do is look at it's basically a to-do list, right? But if you treat it as something that is more of this is causing me stress, that's why I call it stress list. It makes it more urgent for you to do it, because you know that it's something that if you don't do it, you're going to be stressed, right? It's reminding you, like, if you don't at least do some of these things now, it's going to just stress you out, right? The flight's in 2 weeks. It's not the end of the world. Like, it's not like I'm super pressed and like this, like the world's going to end, right? But it's like, I know if I leave this to the last minute, all the things that I have to bear in mind are going to be just left to the last minute. I'm going to forget something that is important around the trip and it's going to affect my experience, right? I want to avoid that. So every time something comes up around me to being a bit stressed about something, I'm writing it down immediately, putting it into the stress list. And it has a category. So trip to Berlin is a category. It's the bucket. And I can have many buckets, right? So if I swipe to the right, you can see that I've got another one. So I can put a bucket name here, rename. It could be that, I don't know, my partner keeps telling me something around the house that I've not done that I keep not doing, right? So I can put this as home, maybe. And then I can put here, hang up, frame in living area. Added here. So I don't have to worry about stressing out or forgetting about that now. It's in the stress list, and I always revisit the stress list. And when I go into the stress list, all I'm doing is I'm making sure that there's things that are not overdue, or I'm basically putting those things in the calendar. So to hang up the door frame thing, it's not a really urgent requirement right now. It's not the end of the world. If I don't do it, like, it's not going to be like, massive precautions, right? But I do want it done, so I don't have to think about it anymore. Like, it's just taking up room in my head, right? So I could set a date for tomorrow to hang it up, and then say at what time I want that being done. And then I'll get in the notification, of course, to just do that thing and just show up and do it. Like, and just do it. Get out of the way. You know that there's less stress, one less thing to stress about, right? And that's what this whole theme's about, is like, you just want the least amount of stress as possible. And it's not acting like there's never going to be any stress in your life again. There's always going to come up, there's stress is always going to come up, but it's how you deal with the stress is the key thing here. And this is, of course, like, well, as soon as I get that sensation of feeling like really overwhelmed or stressed, I go immediately to the stress list to be able to dump whatever it is that I'm worrying about in here, because it needs actionable steps. That's the only thing that's the problem, is actionable steps. I hope this has been helpful.